Good morning. I'm Joseph. This is Input English. Welcome to the 5th episode in the Easy English series here on Input English. Today I'm in a park. It's fairly early in the morning. It's in the fall, and we're going to take a walk. I'm going to take you to a place that's a little hidden and a little unexpected, a little bit of a surprise. This is a popular place for people to come to hike. The parking lot is full of cars and there are people on the hiking path. It's a cool morning. I perhaps should have brought a jacket, but no problem. The sun is not out yet. The entire sky is covered in clouds. We would call that overcast. Everything is covered in clouds. If these clouds were down here at ground level, we would call that fog. It's amusing to me that if we see a cloud away from us, we call it a cloud. But if we are inside a cloud, we call that fog. The walk for today is about 1 mile. There will be a lot of things to see along the way, hopefully. So it's time to get on the trail. Here we have a sign that explains what is allowed in this park, and there is some reference to safety. There are some wild animals here, including mountain lions. Behind me is a bridge, and we must cross that bridge to get over a small creek, a small river. On the other side, the path continues. So let's walk across this bridge. Now that we're across the bridge, I see a sign that explains the mountain lions that live here. Here we can see a sign that explains the presence of mountain lions. Here we have something interesting. In this area, the ground is fairly uneven. There are hills, such as that hill behind us. There are valleys and hills, and so the ground in this region is constantly changing. It's not very level. But behind me there is a very large, flat, level area. In other words, it's unusual. This is different. And why is there such a large flat area here? Well, there is an answer. Here there is a sign that explains why this area is so flat. This area behind me was where there was a college, a school. The school was here for many years during the 20th century. It was here for decades. The school was to educate young men who wanted to be priests in the Catholic Church. The college was called St. Joseph's College. In the fall of 1989, there was a huge earthquake in this area. That earthquake destroyed a lot of structures, including much of this college. The college was destroyed by the earthquake. The San Andreas Fault, the fault line where that earthquake developed, is right near this area. We are very near the fault. So the people who ran this college decided not to rebuild it. All the destroyed structures were removed, and this became part of this large park. This is a very pleasant time to walk There's no sun beating down on me. I don't have to worry about sun exposure. Behind me is a very large tree, and that most certainly was here when this was a college. Here we have a road, what's left of a road. This would have been used back when this was a college. And you can see where there used to be a bridge. There used to be a bridge across this creek. That is part of the bridge. And then down here is this side of the bridge, but the structure of the bridge has been removed. These large birds are wild turkeys. Here we have a deer grazing. This is a young female deer. We call female deer does. A male deer would be called a buck. But this is a doe. This park where we are walking is called an open space. It has a lot of land and it's protected. People can't buy this land. People can't build houses here. And the natural plants and animals are protected. Some of this area is kept open like this, and the grass is mowed with a machine, so it is similar to a city park, but other parts of the area are left wild. A lot of people come here to get exercise, to be in nature. Some people walk like this. Other people will ride a bicycle. However, the bicycles are restricted to the road, the paved road. This is a hiking trail only. No bicycles on this. Here, the hiking path crosses a stream. I'm now on a small bridge crossing over this small stream. We have a lot of words for these small rivers. If a river is very small, we could call it a stream or a brook. We could call it a creek. We can even call it a slough. Some of those terms have regional differences, but all four of those terms are recognizable in English as describing a very small river. In this area, most people would call this a creek. When one type of object has multiple names, we don't need to get worried that we're using the wrong one. Most people know that this small river is a creek or a slough. There are many different terms for it, and people don't worry about which word you use to describe a creek. This part of the park is getting a little more wild. There's less evidence that people are trimming and keeping this neat. They're letting it be more natural in this area. In this area, I can hear more voices. There are people gathering. They're doing things. I don't know what they're doing. There are many activities here in this open space. There are hiking clubs. That is, there are clubs, groups of people who join together to do things together. A hiking club is a group of people who go on walks together, typically in nature. People find that hiking clubs are a great way to meet other people and make friends. They are a great way of getting exercise on a regular basis. We're now coming into my destination. This place is a little hidden because cars can't drive here. I'm not allowed to drive my car to here. I have to walk 1 mile to get to this hidden location. Here you can get a glimpse of where we are. This is a farm. More specifically, this used to be a farm. In the mid-1800s, 2 brothers established a homestead here. Specifically, they applied for ownership of this land by promising that they would live on it and work it as a farm. This is a program that many governments have to establish people in areas that are uninhabited. So these 2 brothers set up a farm here in the mid-1800s. This building behind me is a 2-room building, and it is the oldest building here on this old farm. It dates back to the 1850s. Other buildings like this were built later. Some of these buildings were built in the early 20th century. This was a working farm, so they had to produce what they needed. They needed food, and that food should include fruits, vegetables, meat, and they had to produce all of this from the land. This time of year, this place is decorated for the upcoming Halloween holiday. So when families bring their children here, they see decorations for Halloween. You can see this right here. These structures suggest ghosts. As we look into this small orchard of fruit trees, there are all these ghosts. You might say that this orchard is haunted by ghosts. Here we have some geese. And then in the back, there's a large white chicken. There are chicken on the other side of that fence, too. These noisy large birds are geese, and this smaller one is a duck. Over here, we have a large chicken coming into the yard. The chicken is eating. That pan or that tray has grain from which the chicken is eating. Here is a fruit tree that is typical of this time of year. You can see all the orange fruit on that tree. Those are persimmons. An area of grass like this is called a pasture. This is a very small pasture. I'm walking between the pens. On the left, we have cows, and on the right, we're coming up to see the goats. There are 2 goats here. To the left is a male goat, we would call a billy goat. This smaller goat is a female, a nanny goat. Here we have some sheep. There are 2 white sheep, and there's 1 black sheep. In this area, there are a lot of chickens. To the right, there is a building we would call a chicken coop. It is where the chickens go at night to be protected from predators. If someone is keeping chickens for eggs and meat, they can have a problem if a predator kills their chickens. A fox, a coyote, a dog, all of these predators could kill chickens and be a problem for the farmer. So, to protect the chickens, they put up fences like this, and they put the chickens into the building called a chicken coop. It's a big cage or a building to protect them at night, to protect them from predators. Here we have a large pig. This is a large female pig. The word we would use for a large female pig is a sow. If this were a male pig, we would call it a hog. But this is a sow, and it appears that this sow is taking a nap. So that was a quick tour of this small farm. I said that it used to be a farm. It was a farm in the past. Now it is more of a museum or a display so that families can see what farming was like here in the past. This area is owned by the local city, but it is run by volunteers and workers employed in this open space. Since I've been here, the sun has been warming this area, and the clouds are starting to evaporate. The clouds are starting to disappear, so soon it will be a sunny day. Perhaps on the way back, it will be sunny. At this point, I will walk back to the car. I will go back in the opposite direction, but I will follow the same path that I used to get here. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I invite comments below, and if you like videos like this, be sure to click on this one next. See you soon.